Welcome to another episode of Business Tech Unraveled. I'm your host, Zakia Ringgold, and the purpose of this podcast is to really help small business owners unravel the tech behind running a business. So, I am taking a course in eCornell. It's a women's entrepreneurship program, and our very first course is entrepreneurial communication, dealing with presence, persuasiveness, and negotiation. And it's helping us to hone our pitch and business story. And I'm someone who can typically show you better than I can tell you. But as I've grown as a business owner, I have learned that oftentimes it's in that pitch that you are able to actually get to the point of being able to show. Because if you can't pitch it, nobody can buy it. And so I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm hoping that by me sharing my business story, you understand where the business came from. Then you can also take the lessons learned and what I'm learning in those different elements to craft your own business pitch. What I'll do is go through my story, and then I'll tell you the various elements that they've taught us, and then hopefully you can use that as a way of creating your own business pitch while learning what you've all asked in terms of, well, what is it that you do and how did it grow? So, are you ready? I'm going to share how I went from a soap making budding entrepreneur to a full-blown virtual event pioneer, starting my own full-time business. So at the start of the worldwide pandemic, I was working full-time in the healthcare industry. I was making a comfortable six-figure income with benefits. I wasn't one of those employees who hated their job, didn't want to go to work, constantly thinking, I got to start my own business to get out of here. I really loved the work that I did. However, it was at a point where the world was shutting down because this was March of 2020. And I'm a single mama of two, and now I had to figure out how I was going to do the homeschooling while logged in and joining an endless array of classes and meetings back to back to back. At the same time, you have your kindergartner at the time who's saying, Mom, I need help with fill in the blank. And so it was a very difficult time, but it was also a time in my mind that if I don't do it now with all of this in front of me, I would never take the leap. So at the start of the worldwide pandemic, again, I was working full time. I said, if I don't do it now, when would I do it? However, I was scheduled to speak at 4 different conferences, 2 in soap making, 1 in learning and development, and another one in the human resources industry. I was also raising my daughters as a single mom. In my budding hobby, I actually built a small following online, and I would be considered what's known as a micro influencer and a sought after soap making industry speaker. It wasn't due solely to my soap making for that. I love the soap making, don't get me wrong, but it was leveraging the tech. I had also authored 4 books for soap making. I had live streamed my hobby, and then I leveraged social media to share my lessons with my audience. And I also shared behind the scenes of being a mama, juggling a full-time job while trying to figure out the soap making and online thing. So I had also started an online soap school and live streamed my journey all along the way. So the online soap school was there for me to be able to teach. So I was bringing my corporate background into my hobby by having this online school. And I really enjoyed that. Now, this was all going on while I was working full time before the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic came, I remember being called into the office and they said, take what you need and we're going to go home for about 3 weeks and just work remotely. You're going to work from home. And we're like, what? Like, we typically could work from home once or twice a week anyway, but this was full time at home. And something in the back of my mind said this is more serious than just a few weeks. And I personally couldn't understand, I could not wrap my mind around why all of the in person things were being canceled. Like, I get that we can't meet in person, but online is a thing. It's been a thing. I've built an entire business online, part time. So it just really didn't make sense to me why things were being shut down. During that time in the corporate space, I was on the learning and development team, and we were tasked, or should I say, we took it upon ourselves to get people comfortable in the virtual space. I remember us hosting a disc workshop, and it was all about communication styles with the remote team. And I led this workshop. We did it in Adobe. We did a couple of things in Zoom to the chagrin of our IT department because it hadn't been vetted and blah, 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 blah. All the red tape that we are used to when we are doing things in the corporate space. So no one really knew what we were in for when the world shut down. But in my heart, I knew that I could make a difference with soap makers. Soap makers who did it full time were truly dependent on those in person events to sell their products, and that was shut down overnight. For me, I was completely dependent online because I was working full time and I sold my soap through e commerce, social media, and live streaming. I didn't do in person events. All of my sales came through online. So why not use my skills to host my own virtual conference to teach handmade artisans how to grow their business online while at the same time teaching people who had been displaced to have a skill that they could either monetize or at the very least learn how to make commodities like soap, lotion, candles, you name it. If you could make it by hand, we tried to include it in the virtual soap summit. And I say we because I did not take this on alone. I was just the tech behind the scenes and then the technology pieces that we were going to teach. Because I had been in the soap industry for 5 years at that point, I had grew a network of makers who could teach the various products. For the soap makers, we could teach them digital literacy, how to set up an online store, how to live stream. We even had someone teach them how to crowdfund and then how to leverage social media, how to blog, and how to podcast. Why? Because these were all the things that I was doing to grow my business online on a part time basis. Now, again, I had attended so many conferences in the past. I had a vast network of makers I could tap into to help me teach the product making classes. And then I could also pay them, right? So that they would get something for their time. So my soap business was more of a side hustle that allowed me to explore those new technologies because in the back of my mind, I was going to take that back to corporate America and I was going to change the game in training. So I thought. But why not produce a virtual soap conference to teach people how to make and sell soap, which happens to be the title of my last book in the soaping industry. But that was really the goal. And for those who had already knew how to make soap and skincare products, we could teach them how to bring their businesses online so they weren't as impacted by the pandemic. Everyone was impacted, but the way we chose to respond and react to it in that pandemic really impacted how successful or not as successful we could be. So here are the numbers. I was able to gather over 15 speakers by April the 15th of 2020. Hear that again. 15 speakers and live attendees less than a month into the pandemic. I had set up the virtual event platform. I had set up all of the rooms, all of the attendee communications, all of the things that I would want if I was attending something virtually. And that all came from my help desk and customer service background. Like, what are the questions that people are going to have? How are they going to log in? How are they going to access the materials? We even created a document that had recipes and instructions and links, also known as a PDF. But it was all done within 4 weeks. We did the marketing for it, which was a very bad marketing campaign, by the way, but it spread by word of mouth. So on April the 15th, we hosted that conference, and when most people were figuring out what the new normal was, I was in a full-blown pivot. One of my mentors saw the story I had shared about the success of the virtual conference and asked if I could host a similar conference for their membership organization. We could handle the tech for them and they could still host their conference. They would not need to cancel. This put me and my company in front of 600 potential customers who needed my services for their individual organizations. Needless to say, this created virtual experience design agency and my ability to quit my full-time job within 3 months of opening, as I had replaced my annual full-time income from producing virtual events and go full in as a business owner with virtual event production and digital marketing under my new company. So, aside from virtual event production, we started to offer digital marketing services and solutions to help our clients stay engaged with their communities online because they did see the power in it, but we didn't want it to be just a one-off event. How can you take the power of those virtual events or your in-person events now, because we're doing more hybrid? The world has opened back up after 2.5, almost 3 years. And so this includes your email marketing, your social media publishing, your podcasting, your live streaming. We offer both the software as a service, so if people just need a solution for doing it, or publishing, posting, editing, we do all of that for them, and we provide the tools, and we also provide done for you services. So all of that to say, Veda is so much more than just a virtual event production company. We're a force in digital marketing. We do help our clients engage their communities online through events, of course, but also email, social media, podcasting, live streaming, and video, which is their complete digital footprint aside from their website. So, our journey from soap making to virtual event pioneers is a testament to the power of simplicity, the magic of unexpected, and the resilience of the human spirit in a single mama who says, there's gotta be a way. So hopefully this will help you to learn a little bit about my background while at the same time getting my assignment done for the eCornell Women in Entrepreneurship program. Now, that's my story. That's a really long story, way too long for a 60-second elevator pitch. So what we've learned in the entrepreneurship program is there are a few elements to the pitch. And so that's making it simple, adding some unexpected elements, making it concrete, credible, emotional, and then making sure you include your story and, of course, the all important call to action. So if I were to break this story down in the elements of it, the title would be It's the Pandemic Pivot, from soap making hobbyist to virtual event pioneer. The simplicity of it is, in the midst of a global pandemic, I found a simple yet powerful way to make a difference. What's unexpected about that? Well, when the world came to a standstill, I, a single mom with a full-time job and a passion for soap making, stumbled on an unexpected opportunity. What's concrete? So this is where we can put ourselves or the listener into our mindset. Imagine being a single mom working full-time in healthcare and suddenly faced in a world in chaos. with 2 daughters to support, I decided to leverage my soap making hobby and online presence to create something concrete and meaningful. Is there any credibility? That's the other component. I wasn't an expert in everything, but I knew how to connect with my audience. I leveraged my experience as a micro influencer and author, sharing my journey into soap making and my knowledge of tech to empower others. The results spoke for themselves. Now, the emotional component is as the pandemic unfolded, fear and uncertainty gripped the world. I tapped into the emotional landscape by offering a lifeline to people who would take it. For soap makers who relied on in person events, I offered a chance to pivot and thrive. For those that were facing job loss, I provided hope and a skill that they could monetize from home. And for those organizations that were being faced with the possibility of having to cancel their flagship annual events, I provided event solutions for them. So, what's the story? And here's the 30-second elevator pitch. It all began with a worldwide pandemic where my scheduled speaking engagements were canceled and my life took an unexpected turn. With determination and a desire to help, I hosted a virtual conference that brought together soap makers, teaching them not just how to craft products, but also how to take their business online. Within weeks, we had over 15 speakers and hundreds of paid attendees. As the word spread, one of my mentors approached me to host a similar conference for their organization, opening doors to 600 potential clients. This marked the birth of Virtual Experience Design Agency. Today, we're known as Veda, and it is so much more than just a virtual event production company. We're a force in digital marketing, helping clients engage their communities online through email, social media, live streaming, and podcasting. Our journey from soap making to virtual event pioneers is a testament to the power of simplicity, the magic of the unexpected, and the resilience of a mama and the human spirit. Join us in this incredible journey as we continue to shape the future of virtual experience. Now, that's a lot to say, but it's much shorter when we understand the components. So for your action, come up with your pitch. Write out your whole story and then pull out those elements. What's simple? What's one sentence that could summarize everything? What's unexpected in your story? How is it concrete? Why were you credible? And what are those emotional heartstrings that people can understand and see themselves in your story? And then rewrite your story so that you can do it in less than 60 seconds. So let's give it a try. So here's my story. It all began with a worldwide pandemic where my scheduled speaking engagements were canceled and my life took an unexpected turn, like pretty much everyone in 2020. With determination and a desire to help, I hosted a virtual conference that brought together soap makers, teaching them not just how to craft products, but also how to take their businesses online. Within weeks, we had over 15 speakers and hundreds of paid attendees. As the word spread, one of my mentors approached me to host a similar conference for their organization. This opened doors to 600 potential clients. It also marked the birth of Virtual Experience Design Agency. Today, we're known as Veda, but it's so much more than a virtual event production company. We're a force in digital marketing, helping clients engage their communities online through email, social media, podcasting, and live streaming. Our journey from soap making to virtual event pioneers is a testament to the power of simplicity, the magic of the unexpected, and the resilience of a mama and the human spirit. Join us in this journey as we continue to shape the future of virtual and digital experiences. May need to do a little bit of work on that, but that's much easier to say than the first 18 minutes. So now you have heard my story, understood the very important parts that go into crafting your pitch, and then how I was able to take that 18-minute segment and turn it into a minute, maybe nine. I might have did 90 seconds, but who's counting? So hopefully this will help you learn a little bit about my background while at the same time understanding what you need to include when creating your pitch. And most importantly for me is getting my assignment done for the eCornell Women in Entrepreneurship program. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the Business Tech Unraveled newsletter, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me on our podcasting website. Until next time.